Oh yeah, we were just hanging out.
I'm so sorry. Oh my goodness. I was like, I'm supposed to be, where are my people at? He said they're in the waiting room. So I guess I'm not in this meeting as a guest, as a host, apparently. So I can't see
Oh,
people joining me. Can you
oh,
please
funny.
make me a host of my own meeting?
You're the co-host, but I'll make you the host.
So why couldn't I see them? Bye,
Leave the stage.
Spencer.
Thank you, Spencer.
Erica, Dr. Todd, how are you guys doing? We were literally just working. I'm like, where are my people at?
No
Just
worries. How
hanging
you
out.
doing? Yeah, good
Just
afternoon.
hanging. Okay. Um, Erica, I have to see you.
I know, but I'm sick. I sent you a note. Like I am not camera ready.
Erica, I'm wearing, look what I'm wearing. Do you think I look camera ready? I'm wearing this. I was telling Rodrigo, I was like, I'm working from home today. I wasn't feeling well either. I'm like, these are pajamas, basically. They're really soft, like leopardy pajamas. And I'm like, it's okay. Like, it's
Well,
okay.
well, you're looking fantastic for being in pajamas.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have known. I wouldn't have known. All right,
Dr. Todd.
I'll
Dr.
grace
Todd,
you with my presence, but I'm not feeling great. So there you go.
is she always a sweet talker like that?
Uh-huh.
Is she? How are you? Oh my God, I'm so glad to see you both.
But it has been too long,
It
Tracy.
has been way too long, but I heard through the grapevine, Dr. Todd, that you're thriving, and Erica, that you're representing. And so I need for you all to actually provide an update of all the great work that's happening. So the last time you connected with me, oh my God, I don't know where I was at, but I don't know if I had written in the books or how many books had come out, but blah, blah,
It was
blah.
it was like I think it was like November. It's been a while because it was before the end of the year. I'm pretty sure.
Okay, well, tell me more. What's going on with you all? Like I heard from Ayana, Dr. Ayana. So
Yeah.
at first she was saying, well, the resources that she was getting weren't necessarily aligned with the work that, she was being tasked with. And so she was kind of working through that. And I said, this is exactly the type of conversations we should be having as relates to this work, because so many people are being thrown into these roles and they're not being equipped. And she said, and I said, I can't wait to follow with Erica and Dr. Todd. She said, oh my God, she is supporting him fully, and he is getting everything he needs, and they are thriving over that. I was like, ooh, I love it when a plan comes together. So she was just so excited about what was happening with you all. So I don't want someone else to tell your story, but you've just been in the back of my mind, like, yes, yes, yes. I remember you guys I have a video of the two of you on our website. You're going to be a book just got published, Erica, swear to God. Let me see if I can find it. A book just got published. You know about the books I've written, right? So,
Yeah,
and I told you we were doing this work to write, the books and do the video series. So one of the authors, I'm leading a series called The Achieving Success in Business and in Life. Well, obviously, you guys are achieving success in business and in life. And it's a continuation of this equity work. So as we talk about you, we just want to hear from you. I just want you to know. So one of the ladies that I interviewed in the first part of the series, she wrote a book called Unapologetically Ambitious. She was the CEO, one of the first Black female CEOs in Silicon Valley, Shelly Archambault. And her book is called Unapologetically Ambitious. Do you know Shelly? You smiling?
No, I thought I knew of Shelly, but then I'm like, no, that's not. This person is in Seattle.
No. She's California, I think.
Oh, okay. No,
or somewhere. I think she was. I mean, she was obviously in Silicon Valley at some point when she was the CEO. But her book is called Unapologetically Ambitious. It was voted the #1 book by Forbes and Bloomberg, #1 business book by Bloomberg and Forbes for 2020. So it was a book that really talked about, being unapologetically ambitious, right? Doing the work, planning the work, and working the plan. And she does talk about her journey. And so, the person who did her video book is actually working with us now on this video series. So we're still doing the work, right? So I kind of met them, and this virtual admin here, Rodrigo, is part of that team. So my whole ability to scale and amplify and really get this book out like ASAP, because I have all the content. Like I have more than enough content for 3 volumes of the book. And I just want to get the full diversity and inclusion, the business book out, talking about success in business and success in life, but really with this inclusion theme. So I say that to say, the books that I wrote in Ignite Happiness, Ignite in Your Inner Spirit, and Ignite Possibilities, I call that my inclusion origin story, right? Here's a little bit about me, but this is part of the bigger than me success story. So it ain't about me, but I did write about the story. And then I mentioned to you guys when you joined this transformational inclusive leadership, right? That's the work, that's one of the ways that we get to change the status quo. And you were having some epiphanies saying, you know what, I see that we have a hole in the bucket issue and I need to bring in someone new. And now you brought in Dr. Todd, and now Dr. Todd, that's the backstory. How are you feeling right now, Erica? And Dr. Todd, how are you feeling? And where are we at with this story? And how can we bring you guys in to set up these best practices, because you are doing a lot of the right things? That's
yeah. Well, I'll hand it to Todd in a minute, but you know, it feels like it's been like 5 years and it's been 1. I think it's really interesting how that happens. I feel like Todd and I have been working together for a really long time, and the reality is it's only been a year. And so part of me is like, oh my gosh, there's so much more we can do, and that's exciting. I'm also really proud of what we've been able to accomplish in a year. But your point is well taken, in that you have to have the right resources and you have to be willing to fund the things in order to get the results that you want. It doesn't just happen. And you don't want it to be tokenism. You don't want it to be like, oh, I've hired a person to be the DE&I lead, but then I'm not going to like support them in any way. So they're this figurehead, but then there's no action that they can actually drive because it's a massive team. And what are they actually going to be able to do? So, you know, we've put a lot around Todd, and Microsoft has been super supportive of that as well. And then the other thing that I would say is it's not just Todd, right? Like, we have been really focused to say DE&I, inclusivity, all of that is a part of everybody's job. It's not just Todd and his team's role to go and fix this for the organization. It's every single person's job. And so while he's there to set up the plan and put resources for people, we've all got to lean in and do the work. And so I think that has been a pretty big part of the success that we've driven. But yeah, I mean, there's lots of things that are going on. So I'll let Todd speak to that, but that's kind of my perspective, Tracy.
Hold on, Todd, before you speak. Erica, you know you have a little sister girl neck roll when you talk. It's so awesome. She's like, it's everybody's. Doesn't she? I'm in love with you. The very first day I met you, I'm like, okay, where have you been all of my life? Because being vulnerable enough to say, hey, we thought we knew the things. I actually put a quote about you in this book. It's the ugliest book cover of all the ones I've done, but I wrote, I had nothing to do with that. I actually wrote, this is a compilation book. It's an anthology from the African American Writers Alliance. And so we did our 6th anthology, and I put my story in called Transformational Inclusive Leadership. It was just kind of like my story about, you know, this journey and why I'm doing it. And I put a quote from you, actually is in here. And I actually had you say, I'm just going to read it real quick. I said, participants of the Bigger Than Me success series have been eager to share the beginnings of their learnings. Quote, this year has been an eye-opening for me, said Erica Stricker, Managing Director of CDRE, supporting Microsoft globally. We could say we were doing all the right things, but the bigger problem is that we have a hole in the bucket issue where I've got a larger percentage and ratio of individuals that are diverse, both ethnic and racial, that are leaving the organization over those that are not. We might have thought we had our things figured out, but guess what? We don't. There's a lot of work to be done. I'm excited for what the future will bring.
Still true. I mean, it's so true. And I think we're starting to see that change, but it doesn't come without a ton of work, Tracy. Like, this is not an easy, like, there is no easy solution here. It is just hard work.
Thank you for doing it. Thank you for showing up. Thank you for being the lead. Even what you just said, we plan to use that quote as part of the follow-up, because it's like, hey, it was not his job. It is not, you know, right? And we'll bring you guys back on, and I want you to do some live like conversations. Like, you're like the poster people, excuse me, of like, here's what success looks like, right? Not that you're done, but you're like, hey, we got some work to do.
Yeah,
right? We don't have.
I don't think we'll ever be done. I mean, I don't think we'll ever be done. Never be done.
What are your thoughts, Dr. Todd Jenkins? Hey.
No, hey, I echo that. I think, you know, it's a journey in itself, and I do agree with Erica. It feels like we've been working together for quite some time, and I think that just goes to the testament of how much time we do value in this space of inclusivity. Is day in and day out for us. Is more ingrained in the culture versus like a one-off conversation. It's it's literally everyday engagement. And you're right, it's not about the Dr. Todd or the Ericas of, what we're doing. It's really the belief and the instilled behavior in all the employees that makes it great. I mean, that's the culture within itself, but it's starting and igniting with the leadership. And I would tell you the leadership team across the entire global organization is all in, and everyone is curious and questioning and challenging, how can we do this to be better for ourselves and for Microsoft, and trying to be problem solvers. But that's just who we are as a business anyway. And I think so many times, which has been very beautiful here to see it mashed together, that some people and organization design separate the two, that business is here and D&I is there. And I think one of the things that I'm seeing that our organization is maturing into is the integration that is not separated, but it's all part of the whole. And when you have that intentionality, it really becomes a really great workplace culture, workplace inclusivity at its finest. And of course, yes, a lot of opportunities, a lot of challenges. It's not always hitting right on target, but I guarantee you the organization culture that we have, when we don't hit target, we ask the question, what do we do better? We have the leadership to say, let's get in the war room and think this through, and we'll get it next time. So I think that type of momentum is just like, it's unparalleled to kind of anything that I've been working through in my former organizations.
I love it. Erica, you're kind of smiling there. You're like, yeah.
No. Well, I think it's, it had me thinking, right? Like Todd highlighted the fact that even when we don't see some of the progress that we want, we're able to lean in and say, okay, well, let's ask the hard questions, because as much as we are doing really great things, and I think we've made a ton of progress, there are still areas that we are not like succeeding in. So as much as there are best practices that we can share, there's still a lot more that we have to learn. And I think that that's part of running a really big organization. Like if you've got a team of 20, you can impact those 20 individuals personally rather quickly by having really deep conversations with everyone. When you're running an organization of over 1,000 people, that becomes a little bit more difficult across the globe. And so like how that matters and what that looks like changes. And so, you've always got to meet people where they're at, and everybody is just on such a different place in this journey and like what it means to people. So I love that we ask ourselves the hard questions. I get disappointed when I don't see the progress that I would love to see. So, and I think I said this in one of the early conversations that we had, and somebody was like, you got to pace yourself, girl. Like you got to slow down. Cause I was like, we have got to go. There's like so much to get. Right. And I'd love us to be in an even better place than where we're at today. I'm proud of where we're at, but there's a lot more for us to do.
And I echo, and I think that, one of the things that's telling is that disappointment comes from a place of commitment, right? And so when you see the oohs and ahs of one speaker or one hire or, this nice achievement, you can become very comfortable and say, wow, we're doing it, we're there. But I think someone who's of a telling leader like Erica and our team, our fellow leadership team, we know that we're not there, but we're trying every day to get there. And we are disappointed when we are not there, and we have hard conversations. So, but I think that is the epitome of striving for equity, is trying to get there and course correct and do all you can with what you have.
I love it. We were asking people as a part of this series, this achieving success in business and in life. We were asking them, what is their definition of success? So Erica, you hired Dr. Todd, and Dr. Todd, I'm going to ask you the same question. What does success look like to you, and how do you define success as it relates to inclusion, achieving inclusion within your business, your organization?
Yeah. So I'll answer that from a broad sense. And if you want me to get more specific, I certainly can. In general, success to me means that we are a place that attracts all people of all walks of life. Because you can do all of the work, but if you're not actually attracting people that want to come, that are actively seeking you out, then you still have a lot of work to do. we are trying really hard to create an inclusive workplace where everybody can be their authentic self and show up in the space that they want to be. And that's about retention. But attraction, especially from a firm that is not a household name, like Dr. Todd and I talk about this all the time. CBRE is not a company where people over the dinner table are having a conversation about them. You don't really know about the corporate real estate world.
Right.
And so, being a place where people from all walks of life want to come and work, that's success to me. And then stay, right? Because you can attract people, but the hole in the bucket was a problem, right? So what are you doing that they really want to come and work for you? They believe that coming to work at your company or your account is going to be the best thing that they can possibly do for their career, that they're going to be disadvantaged if they go work somewhere else, right? That means that we are achieving inclusion and that we are being successful, and then keeping them and helping them thrive in their career.
I love that. Dr. Todd, what is your definition of success when it comes to inclusion?
Yeah, it's mixed methodology, right? You have the quantitative and the qualitative success. So you have the things that's traditional on paper, from metrics, from attraction and retention, and the employee engagement, and our spin around diversity within our vendors, and the impact we have in the community. You have those hard numbers, but you also have the numbers that can't be measured, the stories, the aha moments when Dr. Todd or Erica is not in the room, inclusion has still been talked about. The type of transactions that's taking place outside of work. When you're at home with your loved ones and your neighbors, right? And they had that one thing they learned learned in the newsletter, they're practicing it because it's a faith-based observation next door to them. They understand it. That moment is a successful moment. And I think the epitome of achieving, is a process. You're still arriving. So I think, success is evolving, is forever changing. And I don't think it's an end game. It's not a destination. And I think that's the beauty of achieving, is always continuing to be ongoing. So I think you can measure it in both of those buckets.
I think that's a really great point too. And Tracy, I will just say the things that have made me most proud, of course, when we have gains from a company perspective, those things make me proud. But the amount of times where we start a meeting off, we used to start meetings off with a safety moment, because, I've chatted about our safety culture. We now will start meetings off with potentially a DE&I moment, or an inclusion moment, or, some other type of moment. And the amount of stories that I hear about the work that we're doing from our company's perspective, and how that is channeling into people's personal lives, like how they've approached a situation or a scenario with a neighbor, or with a coach, or with their friend's parents. Like, those sorts of things are the things that actually matter, because somebody can show up at work and put a facade on and be the person that they know the company wants them to be in order to get their paycheck at the end of the day. But how that translates into you as being a person in this community, and how you show up in the world, that is impactful. So yeah, I think those stories are really important.
Love it.
I love it. So the language that we use is transformation, right? Transformational inclusive leadership is this term that I created for basically the compilation of the work that you just described. When people transform, when individuals transform, it's transformational inclusive leadership with mind, heart, and soul. So it is about changing your mindset. It's also about the heart. And you just talked about, these soul level connections that happen when someone, talks about, relationships that they're able to create, to expand, to deepen, that they wouldn't have been able to had they not, gone down this path of inclusion. So it's such a beautiful thing. Talk a little bit about this word transformation, because it sounds like you're all about it. And I do use the gerund, the ing word, achieving, becoming, right? Inclusive. So achieving success. I love everything you said about that. If you had to talk about the word transformation, and you were putting your team and your organization into this bucket of transformational inclusive leadership, right? And we'll talk about more about some of the things that encompasses, but it's bigger than me, right? It's not about my definition of that. It's really about what you guys just described. So tell me a little bit about just the word transformation, and how you would encourage someone who, like you said, everyone's at a different journey in the process, what would you say to someone about why it's so important to think about equity and inclusion from a transformative perspective, becoming a new thing, getting to a new level? Let's talk about that a little bit, the transformation concept.
Well, it's fascinating, around your concept and your approach, to that, because it was really essential to how we approached our year. So all of our leaders, everyone came up with their transformation plan. And, so it was very intentional around of what are we going to do different. And I think from my perspective, the framework and why we went after that is because we wanted to create something that we haven't seen before, right? And in order for that to happen, you have to have that innovation, you have to have the transformation. It's taking something old and thinking about something new in a very innovative and a dynamic way. It also gives inspiration, it gives aspiration, it gives challenge. All of that comes into that foundational framework of transformation. And so for us, one of the things that we cast out was what I call the BHAG, what we learned from business, the bold, the hairy, audacious goal. And we want to be the ideal business inclusion for 21st century, right? And you say, well, what does that look like, feel like? Well, that's not up to me to decide. It's really up for us as a team to collectively come together and present that. And I think when you don't leverage and understand that root cause of transformative behavior or output, input, you really accept the status quo. And clearly we see that the status quo today is not working for equity, is not working for inclusivity. And so if we want to get things and do it better, we got to do something different. And that's where the transformative plans came into play.
I love it.
And Tracy, I know we're almost out of time, but I will just say that for me, it's also about making sure that people understand why it matters to listen and learn, right? So we're a really innovative organization, regardless of DE&I and others. Just in general, we tend to be a really innovative organization. And the whole point around that is that we don't want to sit in the status quo. We don't want to just do things the way that they've always done. And people understand that point. They understand that, oh, you've got to do things differently in order to be better. Well, that's the same in this space too. It's not just about the widgets that we need to produce in a faster way. It's also about the way in which we think and how we approach people and how we work in business. And so I think helping people understand that this is also around innovation too. And transformation is about learning and listening and making yourself the best version that you can be. That is going to help transform our business.
I love you too. That's all I'm going to say. I love you too so much. So we are building training. We are building the book, the video, the whole deal. Like I said, you'll get more information about it. It's all going to nonprofit. Nobody's making any money out of it because we're giving it all away for free. And we're building it around the leaders of tomorrow. So I would love to talk more to each of you about our leaders of tomorrow. It's like a legacy coalition. So Black MBA has a Leaders of Tomorrow program. It's been around for 30 years. And we're basically saying, what we know is that we have to leave things better. Like we have to be the catalyst for change. And so I would love to invite you both back to do one of our live events. So I don't know what your availability looks like, but let me know. So
just send us details on when the events are. I'm traveling a little bit later this month and there's some things on the calendar, but just send us what the options are and Todd and I will figure it out. We'd love to participate.
So our last events, the last event before we take a summer break, and summer break is kind of a relative term, is the last, we're doing this Bigger Than Me Success series, or this Achieving Success in Business series. And it's the last Thursday of each month, which happens to be May 26th. We're going to be at a school here, a local school, RVLA. And we're going to be talking about like the approaches, like doing things differently.
I think we're both going to be in Atlanta that day.
So then the next options will be the last Thursday or the first Tuesday of every month. And so we can talk about that. I'll send you the details. You guys just let me know. This little video, would you be okay if I use part of this video clip for some things?
Hey, Tracy, I gotta drop, but it was
bye.
Me too. Shoot us some notes and I
will definitely. Bye.
Okay.
Thank you.